Hello everybody, this is Diane. Well, I'm doing some organizing and I was working on the bookshelf that's in the alcove between my craft room and my office. I'll be able to use some of that space for crafting supplies, but I'm trying to keep the crafting supplies in my office and my craft room. My office, of course, also has other things like my piano and my piano music, my printer, which, is part of my crafting supplies, but I use that for other things too. Yeah, but there are a lot of crafting supplies in the office. So I'm trying to limit my spread, I guess. So I'm organizing that bookshelf, and this is on the bookshelf. And it will probably stay on the bookshelf. And it is full of sewing journal supplies or domestic arts journal supplies. So I went into my office, which is where all the rest of the sewing supply stuff is, and brought stuff in here. And I think I am letting myself in for a headache right now, but I'm going to start sorting this stuff and maybe destashing some of it. Included with this is domestic arts journals supplies, because they kind of overlap sometimes. But I can use these supplies for more than sewing journals. I don't make sewing journals that often because I have so many other journals to make. So I just need to remember that I can access these supplies for any other kind of journal that I want to make. So I need to reacquaint myself with what I have. So we're going to dive in this first. Let me move some of my... You can't see these other things I have here, but they're right next to me, and I want to have as much space as possible to sort things. Okay. Now, I did bring this little bin in. This is a little velveteen. I found this at Aldi's, I think before Christmas, and I just loved it. It came in a set of 2, and the other one is bigger. And I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I wanted them. So it stores my vintage sewing patterns. I am not even going to look at these. I just wanted to bring them in and show you, because I'm not going to destash any of these. I've destashed as many as I want to. And it's also got some embroidery transfers. And I have a few, this is from one of my catalogs. I have a digital of pattern images that I just put in there too. So I just wanted to show you my sewing pattern collection and how that is being stored. And when I finish my organization and do a tour, you'll see where I have all of these containers sitting. So let me move this out of the way. All right, now I'm going to dive into this farmer's market tin. And I've got more embroidery transfers. I had found a whole bunch of embroidery transfers at a flea market or yard sale or something. And I have destashed a lot of them. But I still have a lot, and I don't want to get rid of any more. I just need to start using them. So I'm keeping these. And unfortunately, I don't think they'll fit in that bin of patterns. This would be for a domestic arts. So I'm going to set that aside. And this also, it's housekeeping stuff. And this isn't really sewing, it's knitting. So I'll put that with domestic arts stuff. I have this little pouch. I think somebody sent this to me with a little gift in it. And it's really pretty. I think I will put this... I think I put it in here because... Sorry. Because it is big, and I thought I might be able to glue it to the inside cover of a large journal, like a domestic arts journal. But I think for now I'm going to put it with my boho stuff. This is, I believe someone told me that they think it's an Eastern Star, kind of a sash that you'd wear around your neck if you were part of the Eastern Star organization. But can you tell how old that looks? This is really old. So I'm not positive that that's what it is, but I'm going to go along with that. It had this little clip. There was probably, yeah, there's something over here, and they clip together to hold it around your neck. That's really cool. So it's pretty big, so I thought I might use this in a domestic arts journal, so I'll put it with domestic arts. I'm going to try to keep sewing stuff separate from domestic arts, but knowing that when I do domestic arts, I can dip into the sewing stuff too. So these zippers would go with sewing, and this is for mending an iron pan, so that would be domestic arts or cooking. See, they're all blended together, those three. That's for sewing. These are cards for, I guess, putting your yarn on for when you're doing needlework projects, so that's going in domestic arts. This is an iron-on bonding for mending. This is just a piece of ledger. Doesn't have anything to do with any of these categories. This is a pattern for a little doll that you could make. It looks like a kitty cat. I'll put that in domestic arts. This is going in a domestic arts journal. I started it. It's an invoice pocket from some packaging. So it's all set to go into a domestic arts journal. So that'll go there. And I think any patterns for like doll clothes and things like that, they'll just go in domestic arts. I'm going to call him DA from now on, so I don't have to keep saying it. Needlework. This is a shopping list, so that'll go in, I'll put this one in cooking, I guess. Recipe journals. Vienna oval elastic. I like the packaging. For home decorator, ladies home journal, I'll put that in the DA stuff. These are some little order forms for a sewing book. Craft book, quilting, I don't know if this is a sewing book. I think you could order the actual clothes. So that can go with fashion stuff. Goodbye to sewing machine troubles. If you can read, you can fix your sewing machine. This is playing piano. So these can all go with the DA stuff. And that too. I have a piece of fabric with the cross-stitch design printed right on it. Some yarn samples. You know, I'm just going to go ahead and cut that because I would have to cut it in order to use it. So, just so that I can store it better, more easily, I'm going to cut one of the strips off. Might as well just cut them all because I'm going to have to end up cutting them anyway when I use them. They'll go in DA. Got more DA than sewing here so far. So this is like a crafty box full of crafty stuff. Is this a chindi rug? Is that what they're called? I'm not going to take it apart because I like it the way it is. I mean, I know it's not a whole rug. but I think that's how they're put together, isn't it? I think somebody sent that to me. And these are fabric samples, and I like using them in domestic arts journals. So maybe this container will end up just being domestic art stuff. Got several of those decorator books. That's pretty cool. Should I destash one of those? Look at those rounded cupboards. I wonder what they put in them. This one is water damaged. So it's just rooms with different colors of paint and exteriors with paint. These are from Sherwin-Williams. This one's from DuPont. This one's Sherwin-Williams. I guess they're all kind of the same. And I probably don't need all of them. I don't know. I'm going to look at them more closely. I'm going to set them aside so I can look at them more closely and pick one out to destash. This is country cooking, so that can go with cookbooks. But it's recipes and utensils. I think that's why it was in here, because it has a lot of pictures of utensils. And yeah, I'll keep it with the DA stuff. Got some cool pictures. I made a little pocket here with a lady doing her laundry. There's some more of that housekeeping paper. A telephone and some things you would use for housekeeping. This came from a Montgomery Ward or Spiegel's catalog, one or the other. And I just love the colors. All these things you would have in your kitchen. I wish they made these still. Those nice dish drying racks. They make them, but they're small and not very sturdy. I think I should take care to protect some of these vintage papers. If I cut that, it won't tend to get wrinkled up so much. Set some of the smaller pieces aside so that they can be placed into an envelope or something. Alright, so I'm going to put fabrics in a pile, anything that's textile like fabric, and I'm going to have a pile of my fabric and yarn samples, because I've got more in there, and a pile with needlework kits and patterns. This actually came out of a book. It came from a needlework book, so I'll save that for pages. These are individual items that need to be protected. So this is a pattern that came with a kit. It's a page. I love this Electrolux manual, and I have used images out of it. So I'll keep that. Guess I'll just put smaller things there. Okay, let's go back in here. I've got some more yarn. So it looks like this is one that, this wasn't from a company with their yarn samples. This was someone who tied their floss on here for a project they were doing. And, well, I thought some of them had a wrapper on them. Oh, here, this one still has its wrapper on it. But I'm going to put it with my yarn samples. It's going to take a long time to go through all this stuff, you guys. This can go with the sewing stuff, actually. That's from a sewing pattern. This is a calendar. Record of income and expenses. I don't know why that's in here. It's just packaging from embroidered appliques. This is decals, but it has some domestic images on it. Kitchen. I don't think I need to keep this. It's just notebook paper. I think I'll use the paper to put on the backs of journal cards because it's very yellowed notebook paper, and that's pretty cool. Some embroidery transfers and pattern for yo-yo clown dolls. So I'll keep the patterns. I'm going to try to go a little faster. This is going with the embroidery kits and patterns. This is just an envelope for needlework. And I have a bunch of doll dress patterns and doll patterns, so I'm going to put them separate. That's for quilting, I think. It's one of these. They're for quilting. I'm going to let some of these go. They're called Thangles. I'm not sure. I haven't taken the time to read the directions. But these, well, maybe they're not. I thought they were iron-on. But these help you cut these little pieces. But I guess you would have a strip and then cut here. I don't know. But I'm just going to let you guys... I'm going to put some in D-stash because I have quite a few of them. There's instructions right there. I haven't bothered to read them because I'm not going to use them. Not for the intended use anyway. That's for an electric sewing machine, so I'll put that with sewing. It's another card for yarn, so I'm going to put that with the yarn samples even though there's nothing on it. Embroidery. This is sewing. This is for weaving. It's got a big loom. This had yarn samples or silk samples. I'm sorry, somebody's texting me. It's my daughter, but I'll get back to her. So this has some weaving stuff, so I'm going to put that with my domestic arts. There's some yarn pieces. I think whoever sent this to me said that this woman made her own textiles with weaving and stuff, so I think that was from her. But I'm going to put it with my yarn samples. I'm going to put these with the yarn samples too because that's what they're for. I'm going to just keep a little piece of this and let the rest go. And I'm going to keep this with my trims in here, not in this. I love some of this stuff that I have. I need to use it. I haven't made a domestic arts journal in a long time. But this is a fan. So you would open it up and then fan these out. How does it go? Like that. And then while you're fanning, you're advertising Tip Top Bread. and for gardening, for vegetables, crochet. Some of this stuff, some of these pattern things, I will de-stash, I'm sure. That's Butterick, so I'll put that over there. I used the pocket that was here, but I like the packaging too. I'm going to put that with sewing. This is not domestic arts or anything like that. This is an old record, but I love that picture and it's big, so I put it in here. I'm just going to start a spot to put things that are large, and they need to go in large journals, but not necessarily domestic arts. This is your household guide, so that can go in domestic arts. I've got some gloves here. Got a little pin in there. These little crocheted gloves. And this, I don't know if there's another one that matches it, but I'm going to put this with the stuff that goes in big journals. This is a little book of household hints. Another old zipper. That's a metal one. There's another metal one. This is shelf liner, and I've used some of this. Put it with the DA stuff. I don't know why this is in here. Should be with my crochet stuff. I'm going to let a piece of this go since I have a couple pieces of it here. But I like these little individual flowers. So I'll put that where it belongs. I'm going to de-stash this stuff. I have used it in journals before. I think I'll want to use some again, but I don't need all of this. So I'll just keep one hank of it and let the rest go. This came off of a chenille bedspread. I've got apron ties. This is a tie from something, and this came off from baby clothes. I like using these things for ties on my journals. Look, there's another piece of this. This is art in homemaking, it said in this picture. Heloise Household Hints. Tupperware. I love this vintage Tupperware book, so I'm keeping that with my DA stuff. I'm just separating stuff right now, and I am destashing a few things, but once I get things separated, I'll go through and remove some more. This is from a very vintage book about household management. That can go with cooking. These are household hints. Kitchen utensils, so I'll put this in cooking. Household hints. Buying food. So if I'm dividing, some of my books are about food and other household hints, so if I divide them up. Oh, I'm putting the food stuff with the sewing. I don't want to do that. This needs to go with the food stuff. So where did I put my cookbook stuff? Oh, it's right here. Let's Play House. I thought that would be great in a domestic arts journal. Anyway, if I separate the food and the household hints, it'll be easier to find what I want. This is Sewing Curtains by Futura Sewing Machine. I'll put that with sewing. Got some more sample cards. This is actually a textile sample, and I will go ahead and put that with the other sample cards. This might have been one of the textiles that was made by that lady. I think they came in the same batch of stuff, but I'm not sure. It doesn't look homemade. But, you know, what do I know? Fabric stuff goes down there. So, sorry, I bumped it again. I'm going to put these pieces down there with the fabrics. We'll get to the bottom of this before this video is over. This one is sewing for the home. Sewing machine. These are sewing pages. Making curtains is what that booklet was. A house cleaning handbook. That's really cute. This has snaps. Oh, I like that too. I'm going to put this with the food stuff. Here's a sewing pattern. I'm sure I don't need this. I'll put that in D-stash. And I don't need these. Yeah, these are from the lady that made her own textiles. The lady that made the textiles didn't send this to me, but whoever sent it to me, sorry, I don't remember who sent what. But she told me that these were handmade textiles. They're so cool. I definitely have to use them in a domestic arts journal. Now this looks like a lot of fabric stuff here. So maybe I can go through this more quickly. I am going to put this pile of domestic art stuff in there, get it out of my way. Alright, so here we have just a piece of linen. So these are just pieces of linens that I probably wouldn't use for any other project except for embellishing domestic arts journals. Some of them are partially done embroideries, and I like using them in domestic arts journals. These are pretty old. This one just is stamped and not embroidered, but here we have some embroidery. It looks like it was maybe being done on machine. Yeah, it was. Someone was practicing machine embroidery. Now this should go with my other embroidered linens because it was done. It's cut, so it doesn't belong in here. I even like the pieces that are stained. This is a pillow or something that was being worked on. How pretty, those ombre colors. Another fabric sample. Do I have any more fabric samples? I think I have some of them in one of my fabric drawers in here. I'll have to look for them and get everything put together. These are from, this was a treasure, I thought. It was from an instructor's notebook, and these were her samples. She had one pinned or taped to the page that corresponded with the technique that was being shown here. This has 4 corners meeting and it's very nicely done. That was done by the instructor. And these are some, oh, they're some little pleats in various widths. So that's fun to put into a domestic arts journal sewing instruction. This was this is not well done, so that might have been a student's work. It was putting piping, or bias tape around the edge. Look at that. I'm going to put that with my other linens. I thought this would be really nice in a domestic arts journal because I like the shape of it. And it's an incomplete embroidery, but it's just very interesting. I've got doll clothes here that were printed onto fabric. If you had asked me, if you had reminded me that I had these and then asked me where they were, I wouldn't have known. So I'm glad I found them because I really like them. And then I have this, there's another one. These are printed fairy tale. Nope, that's a tent. This is with the doll clothes. I wonder where my printed fairy tale is. Oh, I think it's in my fairy tale bundle package of stuff that I saved. It's got a doll you can make, topsy-turvy doll with Little Red Riding Hood on one end and Granny on the other. I don't know what happened here. Looks like, I don't know. I'm just not going to keep that piece. This can go with the patterns and instructions, and this one too, it's printed on there. That came out of a kit. This goes with that shaped piece, I think. Maybe not. Just pieces of crewel embroidery. I can put that with my other fabrics. In fact, these little plain pieces that don't have embroidery or anything on them, they probably came with the sewing instructor stuff, but I'm just going to put them in with my other fabrics. These are cut into a shape. This one has more bias tape sewn around the edge. That one looks a little bit better. Don't need to keep that little piece. This one showed some smocking. I always thought smocking was so beautiful. So I'm not sure what they're demonstrating here, but it's got the edges folded under very neatly. Look at that. Showing how to do a ruffle. Instead of letting these things languish in my box here, I need to get them put into journals. Look at that ruffle. So there's two different types. This is like what we put on the edge of our pages, and that one is on, look how tiny those little pleats are. Oh, so pretty. And there's some more smocking. It's exciting to find this stuff all over again. I slowed down again, didn't I? Having to examine all these things. This one has some pin tucks, but it's on netting. It's not actually pin tucks, it's separate pieces of fabric. Wow, that was quite a job. Okay, so all of these things can go in the pile of textiles down there that can go in domestic arts journals. This is feedsack fabric that was sewn together. This came off an apron. And this can go in the kits and fabric samples. I sewed this on here, this piece of wide bias tape. I'll just put it in with my other bias tapes. that. I love that. And this is just this. That's all we did was go through that. I have this piece of smocking. I think somebody sent that to me, and I love it, and I want to put it in domestic arts. So I'll add this to my pile of textiles. So I'm thinking maybe I'll keep the textiles in a separate container. After I get everything organized, I'll see what I have, and maybe the textiles will go in here. And yeah, let's do that right now. I can take this little pile out, and I can put the textiles in there. I think I'll add the shelf lining to the top of the pile where I can see it, because these are not textiles. Because they would act like textiles. I would use them like trim. And I'll probably end up putting the yarn samples in there, and maybe the embroidery or needlework kits. This is an apron I'm going to put in there. No, I have a place for aprons in here. So I'll put that with my aprons. This is a doll dress. I'll put that in there. And this is just a granny square Afghan thing, crochet piece. I'll put that in there. Looks like I have maybe some other fabric pieces in this drawer over here. I brought in 2 drawers with me. Oh yeah. So these are definitely sewing. Yeah, I'm not going to put these in there because these are sewing, not domestic arts. Never mind. That's what I have for in here right now. And here's the shelf edging. So this is going to be a 2-pronged task. I'm separating everything and organizing stuff into categories, and then I'll have to go back through and destash some stuff. This is some Aida cloth I'll put in there. Put that in there. These are little tiny embroidered pieces. I'm going to put that with my, oh, I don't know. They look like they would go with domestic art stuff. I guess I'll leave them in here. See, I told you, this is just confusing because they overlap. This was a little yarn card that just came unwound, so I'll put that back on, but it's more card than yarn. So I'll keep that with cards, embellishments. Okay, so the 2 drawers that I brought in are basically sewing. So this is how full it is with the textiles, and if I get rid of some, it won't even be that full. So I guess I'm not going to use this for just textiles. And these are my needlework kit things. I'll have to organize that better, but just wanted to get things sorted. Well, I'm going to have to stop the video because my light is flashing. Oh, yeah. I will keep going, though. I don't know at what point I'll turn the camera back on, but I'll probably have you come along for another phase of this mess. Told you I was letting myself in for a headache getting started on this. Well, I will see you soon. I hope you're organizing and crafting, or crafting along with me. And if you are, please let me know what you're up to. I will see you soon. Have a creative day today. Bye-bye.